Hello,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so very much. My name is Emma. It's such a pleasure to meet you, Pablo.
Look at that background that you have.
I know. I had to commemorate the day.
Thank you. Thank you
Uh,
for having me.
of course. Well, first of all, I have to thank you for directing the film Emma and for spelling it the way that I spell my name. I finally felt another Emma in the world through your work.
Oh, I love the name, and it's also a great title for a film because it's short and beautiful. So it works in
Short
all.
and to the point.
Yes.
Well, I just want to congratulate you on Maria. I had the privilege to see this at the Venice premiere, and it certainly was one of the films that I truly enjoyed. It's stayed with me since that time 2 months ago. For yourself finally being able to complete this trilogy, which I lovingly call the Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown trilogy. How does it feel for you to kind of have this, this beautiful project closed up and out in the world?
Yeah, it's amazing. I never planned it. I never thought that there were going to be three movies, so it's somehow an accidental group of three movies. I I feel lucky that they turn out to be movies that I love and respect.
Mhm.
And I love making them. That is so important, because of course movies, for most people, movies are the movie, and for us, the people that make them are the movie plus the process of making them. That is what also stayed with you in your memories and your process. That's how you learn, how you live. So I'm very glad that this came to an end with a movie that I really love and about someone that I truly, truly care. So it's beautiful.
Yes, I was reading that you, as a young child, were introduced to opera, and maybe at that point in your life, maybe you didn't fully understand the extent of opera as an art form. I used to play the violin in orchestras, and so I know
Really?
I remember playing Il mio bambino. Caro, in some performances. So I through that music and through that work, I got to understand and really feel the importance of that art form. I'm sure that you, as you probably grew older, you probably found even more appreciation for it.
Yeah, unlike you, I tried to become a musician and I failed. So I found a camera and well, here I am. But
You're doing very well with the camera, I have to
well,
say.
thank you, thank you. But yeah, I think opera is not just something that existed with me as an art form that really changed my life and changed my idea of my perception of art, but it's also I think was my first step to cinema. You
Mhm.
know, I had the chance to direct one opera, and it's the most similar job that you can find to cinema. There's there are actors, singers, there's um, there's music, there's an extraordinary interpretation, there's lighting, there's a live orchestra. Like most of the elements are very similar. The only things one is live and the other one is filmed and edited.
Mhm.
Um, but again, I think my approach to the arts and the performing arts was started with opera. It really, really changed my education. My my sensibility towards the music is completely different. And I always want to connect those two mediums, opera and cinema, in a context where there aren't many people that do that. And that is so strange for me. I wonder why it happens, but it
Mhm.
does. Um, I'm just so grateful that I had the chance to grow up going to the opera house in Santiago, in Chile, where I live.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, so sometimes you're lucky enough to be able to work with the materials that really inhabit your heart, and they're strongly within yourself, and that's just very beautiful.
I never would have thought the that opera would be so much similar to cinema, as you pointed out,
It's-
but it kind of makes sense because I associate so many of operas with really dramatic stakes and these very just immersive world. And that's exactly what a film does. It puts you into that place and you go through the trials and triumphs of the characters. That's so interesting. I have to admit, I did not know that you were asked to direct an opera, but I think that that's just fabulous.
Yeah, I had so much fun. It was one of the greatest experiences I ever had.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure as you were working on this trilogy and specifically with Maria, as we spoke about with your connection to opera, um, as you dove into the lives of all of these women, I'm sure you probably were able to find pieces of yourself in their stories. Would you mind sharing some of those instances with Jackie and Spencer, and of course with Maria as well, how you maybe found yourself in their stories?
Yeah, depends on the movie, but I felt a relationship to the character sometimes as I felt that I was more like the son of
Mm,
the main character. Um, Sometimes I felt that I was more like the the um, I don't know, the fun, you know. Sometimes I would feel more like someone that would want to create any form of joy
mhm,
to them. But it's very different. I think that, you know, let me tell you something that is not exactly what you're asking, but some of
that's
the
okay.
critics that have been critical with the film, especially with me on this movie and Maria, they have said that I've been too reverential. And I'm like, yeah, like what you dislike about this film is exactly why I did it.
Mm,
So I don't know how to deal with that. And look, it's not that you saw the film. It's not that she's like always the best human, she is in trouble. She is struggling to find things, and sometimes her decisions can be judged, you know. And she's
mhm,
not a perfect human. But if you're calling me if you're saying me that I've been too reverential to these people, I have no problem with that. I do these films, among other reasons, to celebrate these people's lives and legacy. And in case of Maria, that legacy is her music,
mhm,
uh, not just her life, her private life. So there's an act of love, an act of respect to these cultural icons, and I just want to be fair, hopefully.
mhm. And I mean, like any person, whether they are an icon or just someone like me, some everyday person, uh, there's always flaws and there's always good parts about that person. With Maria, I think it's very clear. You see someone who is so passionate about her art and longs for going back to those days where she could have that beautiful register. And yet, she is a complicated woman. She's a bit tough to figure out exactly. And I feel like that's more enjoyable to watch, but then also to form behind the camera for Angelina Jolie to bring to life too. If everybody was always on their best behavior and just a perfect person, I don't think that that would be very interesting.
Do you think, like, this is the thing? I don't think we know really a lot about these people,
Yeah,
whether it's Maria or Angelina. You think we do, but we
yeah.
don't.
Yeah. I've
And
I've
this,
I'm not at home with her every single day to see what it's like.
but like because a lot of people think that they can read something on the media, they can, research on their work, they can see their interviews, and they think that they know who they are.
Hmm.
No one does.
Yeah.
And that is a very interesting exercise of someone that is a cultural icon that has that, because their presence, the magnetism, you can't take off your eyes while looking at her and what she's doing. You think you get to know them, but you don't. And
Hmm.
that exercise is what I'm interested in. I think that is
Hmm.
pure cinema, where you have an active audience. That I always trust you. I always think the audience is intelligent, and they're sensitive, and they can really complete what's not being said in the film.
Mhm.
And that is the best exercise of it's an exercise of care and love.
I agree. It gives us a chance to process so much
Yeah,
more than just have everything laid out in front of us.
right.
I guess with the few minutes that I have left, in part with a lot of what you were saying, it working with Angelina Jolie on this film, I mean, she is magnetic to look at in just this photo, let alone throughout this film. But you know, some of those conversations that the conversation that we just had, where you're really trying to examine a person, the good, the bad, the muddled in between. What were the types of conversations you had with her in preparation for the film, and
Well,
then as you were able to do
I
it?
understand that there were a lot, of
Yeah.
course, long process. There are a lot of things that we were curious to, things that we doubt, things that we thought that we could do, things that we didn't know how to do. It's the whole process of that's a natural process of making a movie. Um, but I had a very clear idea on the character, and I think Angelina went for that path too. But two things. One is that I think she brought a sense of stoicism that I didn't entirely see
Mm,
before. And she kept the character, even in the worst times, very stoic.
yeah.
And that it's beautiful, and I think it's important. And then there's another element is that it's the music. You know, once she really started training, I think she understood the character really well, thanks to the music.
Hmm.
That was the best preparation for her and for me too. It was to have Angie really went going through the music, not just a listener, but also someone that they had to sing on camera. And we all learned from that, and I think that was the most interesting thing because at the beginning we talked a lot before, and then after 2 or 3 weeks in of shooting, I think I stopped giving her instructions. I found myself understanding that the best note was no note.
Yeah. Just letting her kind of inhabit and take over.
Yes.
She is one of our best after all, and you are certainly one of our best directors too out there. So what a
Thank
dream
you.
team.
Thank you, please. You're very kind.
Of course. I know I have to wrap up in just a few moments, but I do just want to thank you very much for your time, Pablo. It's always a pleasure to speak to people who are so creative and so talented, and you are certainly one of those who I put into that
I
category.
appreciate what you're saying, and I like your outlet too. So good luck to you and your
Oh,
team.
thank you. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day, and congratulations again.
Bye.
Bye bye.